This is Ice Tiger, the mobile escape art. I want to describe some things from the history and the evolution of Ice Tiger, of how I was able to formulate how to make it equate martial arts so we don't have to, send our fist into them or our kick. But without the escape art, we might have to do that, to stop somebody. We might have to do the martial arts because we can't just do nothing. But what I'm sharing in the tape is how to do something, and not be just destroyed by an attacker somewhere, and then use the escape art. But where I found the escape art was I was teaching martial arts in a gymnasium, and there was 50 kids, and it was a high school, and I knew these kids, and they were real nice, kids that were real athletic, and I played basketball with them. They were state champion basketball high school team. You look up at the gym and they had banners. There was like at least 5 state championships that they won. Uh, and so they were super tough guys, super tough. They were white kids, and they played as well as, uh, you know, blacks. They played as well, but they used a little bit more of a brawler style, like a penetration style in the key, rolling along somebody, and you're kind of like fouls and stuff, and raising up the ball through with a real strong grasp, and layups through tough collisions and stuff. You just couldn't stop them. They would just come in and just like knock people sideways and score. And I saw their style, and their style is actually part of this Art of Ice Tiger. These champion basketball players. And like I said, they were whites. And we know how good white basketball players play. We watch them. It's a little more of a. It's not as smooth as the blacks. It's not as effortless. It's not as. There's no gravity that the black experiences. It just floats in the air. The whites seem to be able to do it, but they earn it a little bit more. They have to struggle or something. What they do doesn't have as much finesse, and so, but when it works, it works. When it's better than blacks, it's better than blacks, and it's just what it is. It's Caucasian basketball at its best, and we like to watch them. So these kids had that, and they were state champions. I think 5 years, within like a decade, 5 of those years. And they would jump and fly the basketball to a dunk, and it was far over the hoop, like a foot and a half. And these kids were only like 6 feet tall in high school, and some of them they just didn't play like whites. And I knew that was what it was. There was something about them why they were state champions and they were whites. So I said, "Wow, this is incredible." And then I played some basketball with them, and I was a guard, and I was able to do what I do quite well, and but I was older, I played with college players and stuff, and they let me play, and it was, I remember, a great experience, and they were tough ball players, and I was amazed by their play, how they got it in the hoop more than usual, more than other people, 3-pointers and everything. They would just spring up at the 3-point line, and it would go in, no rim. It was all net. I said, "Wow, these are champions." So I was privileged to be able to show them this Art of Ice Tiger, and what I decided to do is show them a technique called the saddle in grappling. Grappling is like the head, one of the shoulders, and the neck. And when his head is like forward and his torso is tilted forward, you enter to that saddle with like 2 forearms, and you kind of grab stuff, or you strike into it, and then you manipulate his torso like sideways or forward, and then you're able to kind of like take him down to the ground by way of his neck and his head. That's kind of what grappling is. The style that I learned, because I learned it from a Bruce Lee school, an actual Bruce Lee school that I attended during that time. it's kind of like wherever his head goes is where he goes, so you try and control his head. But if he's standing upright, you don't use grappling. You use strike arts to hit his chin. But when he's forward, there's a disadvantage of his imbalance leaning forward, so you grab into that saddle or strike into it and grab it and then throw him to the ground. It's very powerful, like Bruce Lee, like in his films. So I showed him this stuff, and it was real high energy. And they would try to run at me and tackle me. And I said, try to tackle me as hard as you can, and I'll show you this grappling in Ice Tiger. And, I didn't enter their space first. They entered mine. That's kind of what Ice Tiger does. It's a defense only. And then as they brought their head down from what I would say is my strike target zone, like I would hit them in the chin or in the nose, as soon as their head came down, my hands came up into the saddle, which is the side of his head, over the top of his neck and his head, and then striking onto his shoulder or the clavicle bone and on top of his shoulder. And, if their arm comes up, you have to kind of compensate or bend your torso away from his arm. Hopefully you don't get punched in the side ribs, so you kind of quickly do things like you cover your ribs on your right side, you're grabbing his head with your left side, and then if you don't see him punching, you ram your forearm into the top of his shoulder, in between his shoulder and his neck. And then you kind of even set your weight on top of him, and you could ride it. You could ride his tackle backward and just not even grab him if you don't want to. It just has a 2-point amazing control as he's trying to tackle you to the ground, and it ends up where you just ride him like a horse saddle, and his face goes right into the ground, and you stand up away from him. You could also stand up and then raise a kick to kick him on the back of the head if you're like a tough guy. But that would ensure that he'd be out if he was trying to kill you. The grappling is not like jiu-jitsu. It is not like judo, which is like trying to make him into an imbalance and then throw him. It's not like Aikido, where you rely upon his running entry and then just you pull more. With Aikido, you actually grab him and you pull more, and then you actually throw the guy. That's amazing too. But the grappling in Ice Tiger is that you just jump on the saddle. You jump on the saddle if his head goes down, because it's too difficult for him then to control your torso. But it has to be done quickly, and it has to be kind of safe. Like you watch his strikes and stuff, and you just enter on top of his kind of his neck and his shoulder and his head. It's a saddle in there. And as he's coming down, you can drive him into the ground. You can also, like I said, you don't have to grab something. You can just use the bones of your forearms, ride that saddle, and then quickly whip your arm up in the air high and punch him on the back of the head in a strange contortion. So that's the Ice Tiger. It's the center power that is greater than all other martial arts in that movement. The power is greater. And then the power value is greater. Also, there's strike power that's contortional. That's in the center body. That's, the Ice Tiger. Well, anyway, I showed them all this stuff, and they really liked it. They learned it very well. They would replicate it, and they would do it in groups around me. And I watched them do the grapple, and I said, just punch like a chin, and then have one guy kind of duck and maybe try to shoot fight, tackle at the chest or waist, and then go into the saddle and do the center power and do several things, grabbing to push down, just bones on it, and then a punch to get him down, riding the saddle as he falls down, all different types of grappling. You could even grab around his head and do major damage to his body, like paralyzation, but I didn't really get into that stuff because I was just trying to teach him self-defense, not teaching him to kill people. So here's what happened, though. This is why the escape art was kind of born in that time. This was very early when I was teaching these people, I think it was 1995. And Ice Tiger's probably about just a little bit after that. And then, fully complete by like 1998. But, was mostly complete, then. In that gym right there was Ice Tiger. Center power, explosive striking, and defensive only was right there. And so they started jumping up afterwards. And something happened, like everybody was in this mega power feel from the center power that was happening in this. It was like an invincible feel. Like anybody that was trying to tackle them couldn't get it. It was like this saddle thing on either side. You practice both sides. Was able to just kind of like mess the guy up, and he couldn't get this tackle. He couldn't get around you to grab you and like flip you. And it's very fast moving stuff. It's just like, and it went to the floor. So I was showing them the difference between standing and punch kicking somebody, and then when they enter with their head down, as soon as their head goes down, you can nail into the saddle with the power of Ice Tiger right into this crevice. It's like a V of the head, the neck, and the shoulder, and the clavicle bone. And you have to a little shift, a little bit, just sideways, and you're into the saddle. If you can get it. It's like playing baseball. You just don't know. But, when you're real good at it, you get it, You get the catch. It's perfect. But there's always, even the best players, you just don't really perfectly know until it happens. And that's how grappling is in Ice Tiger. But what happened is they started to feel this energy, and something happened. Like, I don't know, it was uncontrollable. And these kids are not like immature or like brats or anything. These are like star basketball players and their friends. It wasn't all basketball players. They went to this high school. Something happened, something exploded in the room where they felt like there was some kind of power they possessed against like a guy that was, a terrible attack to them, and they had control of him. They started running around the gymnasium. They like went crazy or something. And I was laughing. I was like, wow, that was like something exploded in the room. What's going on? And I felt it too, inside of me. I felt something coming from the center of me in Ice Tiger, And it was funny. Because these guys were real fun, There's nothing serious about them, If they can make you laugh, then they're happy. So they're running around the gym. Running around. Full speed. Like sprints around this gym. Sprints around the gym. And then I started to say, wow, this is martial arts and star basketball players and real tough fighters and stuff that were in this high school. And I said, this is what's becoming in this art. And so I made this art do that. I made it combine sports and martial arts and that type of an energy, and I wanted it to govern that energy that exploded there. And I thought the only way to do it is, we went into expansion. It exploded from the center saddle power, and we could just totally control like an attacker. That's just a deadly force entry by this powerful center, both of our forearms into the saddle, and grabs and twists and turns and strikes, punch strikes, everything. You could pull his head into your knee. There's so much power in the Ice Tiger grappling that it could kill a man quickly. For you to pull his head down into a knee and strike it with your knee is double force, and that could kill a man. So I was saying, okay, let's just do like 80, 75% of what it's capable of, so we don't kill anybody. And that was still enough to just knock the guy on the floor. It had so much power. It was amazing. To where the point happened where all these students realized that they probably shouldn't duck their head toward an Ice Tiger that is trained in this saddle grappling, because it'll come smashing at them pretty bad, and they'll go down. So the only way to fight the Ice Tiger would be maybe to stand with your head up and punch kick. But that's not necessarily true, you know. There's somebody that can get through an ice tiger. No one's superhuman. But I had that kind of a feel. And so that energy exploded, but it began to expand, and I said, you know, I've seen this before. I've seen this before, like in sports, mostly in sports, because I played basketball a lot. And I would see plays happen, even on the playgrounds and stuff. I would see excellent plays happen, and people would clap, like the other team would clap. I remember doing just this move. It wasn't like great, but they started clapping, and I clapped for their stuff too. It happened. Moments happened with this energy. One time, they had a long shot, like a 3-point, and it missed. It bounced off the rim, and I saw it bounce off the rim toward one of our players on my team, and I immediately ran full speed for the other hoop. I've never seen this done before. Full speed ran for the other hoop, and I said, if he throws the ball, he throws it. If he doesn't, I'm going to jump up to the rim and then land underneath and back behind the rim, whether the ball comes or not. I'm committed to this fast break move by myself. I broke away from everyone. There was no one even close to me. I exploded in this center power energy, and my body took off down the court, and the guy saw me, and I was kind of like running, but I was looking back, like I pointed my finger up, where he knew that I was going to jump for the hoop. He threw the ball like straight. It didn't fly high, arcing. He threw it straight. He was a big guy, whew, like a rocket, and it came at my body at chest height on the side, and I caught it like two hands, and then I grabbed the ball, and all I did was put it up, like right from where I caught it, at a full speed run. Bam, hit my hand, I put my hand up, and it just went right in the hoop. And I caught the ball like pretty close to the hoop, and it was a full court throw. That's the only time I've seen this type of explosive energy, like with these kids in this grappling in this high school gym, and they're all clapping. And I said, I didn't do anything. That was just a layup. You know, I didn't dunk or anything, because I didn't have to dunk or whatever. It's just caught it on my left side, and then I put the ball up in a pedestal and then just gently butterfly it right into the net. And they started clapping because they liked how perfectly it was done. And it wasn't like a jump shot. It was just like full run speed catch and a layup right in. So we felt that energy at times. But what I did is I felt we should try and govern that type of explosive, fast energy and control it. See that as part of a martial art. That's not really taught in martial arts. They kind of like either jump in a place, or they stand, or they spin a kick, or they punch, or they might scuttle sideways and then spin. It's a lot of like just kind of smaller movements in martial arts. It's not a full-blown just explosive run for your life as the art itself. So I said, obviously, after a lifetime of martial arts and playing this level of basketball with these big guys and stuff, that I'm transforming into what I will call Ice Tiger the escape art. And it started to happen. And so imagine yourself having this type of an energy capability to move your torso, is how I kind of like tagged it. Instead of like a kick, or a punch, or an arm block, or a shin shield block, or I step backward and raise the shin shield like twos. I step sideways and did a forearm deflection, twos, or three. I step sideways, did a forearm deflection, and then a punch. That's threes. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was like I stepped back and then stepped a small step again and spin and land in a stance. I jumped up in the air as he did a kick, and I put my shin up and I hit his leg, and then I went through and landed and did a spin and landed in the stance. Because I was tired of seeing these big kicks and we didn't have an amazing response. So I immediately made it in this explosive big energy to his big energy. And just his kick was nothing. It was made into nothing. Raise up your shin, bam, hit the kick, and then land and spin. So it's really nothing after a while. For about a year I was amazed by this. Girding the energy, making it more condensed in your body, and then expanding when it should. Not expanding all the time or letting it go nuts like we did in the gym. But it's fun to just go crazy and run around, you know, if something's real powerful. They do it when, you know, there's a great play. We jump up and down, you know, at a football game when they get a touchdown. We can't control ourselves. Just let it expand. Just let it fly all over the place. You know, it was great. We can govern that stuff. And then after a while, about a year of this, of the escape art with the martial arts, you know, and the power grappling, I found that I could do less martial arts and do more of the escape moves. And then I condensed it, and then it became like nothing. It's just another art. And that's how I am today. I can teach the Ice Tiger, the mobile escape art, things that could be done, things that I can do, things that we can aspire to do in the future. They're pretty amazing things. And then you can even expand, like, you know, I teach a lot of moderate movements so that everyone can kind of do it. Like, you don't have to do the splits or kick someone's head. But I teach that you should master the stuff soon that you can do to protect yourself. And then if you have extra time and you really love the arts and stuff, to keep that in the art, like to do bigger and faster and, you know, higher speed stuff. And try to control that immense energy is Ice Tiger. So, as I described the Flying Tiger film, you can see this energy in this character named Ginny. You can see that there's a way for someone that has mobility to possibly exceed multiple attackers. In her case, it's 9 attackers. And, you know, she uses techniques that I know, like if there's 4 men approaching you, you can just explode to attack an edge of the far edge of his arm, but not to really expect to go all the way around him because you're almost surrounded. You have to kind of crash into half of his body at least, because let's say he's a big guy, you know, he's 250. If you crash into half of his body, that's only 125 pounds. It's also a strike, and it's also a manipulation where you'll watch with blocking arms as you're just exploding to get out of this multiple attackers. You use the edge attacker so that you can maybe break his attack and strike him on the way. You can even strike him in the head while you're coming to fly at this outside attacker. So that's the only time that the Ice Tiger will actually do an entry. That's kind of an entry. That's not really defense and escaping. But it is escaping the whole mass of those multiple attackers. So it's like not really an entry to all of them. It's more like a kind of a brazing strike on the edge, and you knock the one of the guys, you know, maybe even knock him to the ground, and then just break out of this group and run behind them. That's just one of the many things that can be done with multiple attackers. And of course, you know, that can be dramatized to the most expansive moves of Ice Tiger for, you know, the enjoyment of a film. But it's all legitimate stuff. Like, if we would practice this stuff, it'd be amazing. You know, it'd be amazing how powerful people could be. Even small people, you know, because they're so fast. And they can be strong, too. Strong in their legs. And that's what I teach in Ice Tiger. A lot of, like, strength training in the legs. Weightlifting, dips, climbing stairways, climbing cliffs, stairways on cliffs. And I do it. I posted on my site now for about 4 years. And, you know, my legs are built up to do a little bit more than just stances and kicks. I can move my whole body. my whole torso off of a guy's attack. And I've done it recently. I was attacked by violent attackers in the last couple of years, and I was moving my whole body in the event, away from them, away from their attack, and I got myself to safety, and I didn't punch or kick them. And so, like I said, the energy that I found this in is that exploding energy of the gym students, the high school gym, and they were like kind of radical basketball players for white people to equate, or beat the blacks is kind of their style. And then I was able to control it in my grappling. They would use that at me, and I could control it by the saddle striking and manipulation from Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, kind of modified into my art of center power. And then they were excited about that. And then we found new forms of energy in mixing sports with martial arts. So I hope you like this video about Ice Tiger.